Live from WBFF TV in Baltimore, this is breaking news.
Baltimore lost a hero, one of our bravest and most dedicated public servants.
It's a really sad night for all of us. It's a hard night, but it's even harder night for that firefighter's family.
It is a difficult night in Baltimore City as a firefighter is killed in the line of duty.
4 other firefighters were hurt while battling a 2-alarm fire along Linden Heights Avenue in Northwest Baltimore. You can see a live picture from the scene now on the top right of your screen. On the top left is what it looked like earlier today.
And on the bottom left of your screen, the somber procession leaving shock trauma tonight. The fire, not only breaking story we are following tonight. At the national level, President Biden delivered an Oval Office address on the ongoing wars in Israel and Ukraine, calling on Congress to pass a massive aid bill for those countries.
We cannot and will not let terrorists like Hamas and tyrants like Putin win. I refuse to let that happen. In moments like these, we have to remember who we are. We are the United States of America.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mary Bubala.
And I'm Maxine Stryker. We begin with the tragic row home fire in Northwest Baltimore. 1 firefighter has died, 4 others are hurt.
Fox 45's Vincent Hill live outside shock trauma, where we just heard from fire and city officials not long ago. Vincent?
Yeah, Mary and Maxine, sad is the best way to describe it, as that processional went up this street just about 2 hours ago. Now, here's what we know about that fire. Fire crews responded to a 2-alarm fire in the 5200 block of Linden Heights around 3:45 this afternoon. Shortly after making entry, a mayday was broadcast. That signals trouble. And according to Fire Chief James Wallace, that fire spread quickly and led to the unfortunate events for the Baltimore Fire Department.
And tonight, it is with a heavy heart that I must announce 1 member has tragically perished as a result of his injuries. The 4 other firefighters suffered varying degrees of burns and are being treated at area hospitals.
Meanwhile, we spoke with a relative of one of the homeowners who lost everything as a result of that blaze, and here's what she had to say.
My heart dropped. It's just like it's happening all over again. Everyone's okay. She's doing physically fine, of course, but heartbroken. All of our memories are in their house.
And right now, fire officials say it's too early to tell what exactly started that fire. And of course, this is reminiscent of that Stricker Street fire last year that killed 3 firefighters. We're live at Shock Trauma. Vincent Hill, Fox 45 News.
Vince, thank you. Well, he did mention that Stricker Street fire that killed 3 firefighters, Lieutenant Kelsey Sadler and Paul Buttram and Kenny Lacayo. The 3 firefighters were killed while battling a fire in a vacant row home in January 2022. A 4th firefighter was injured. An investigative report into that deadly fire released last December describes confusion over which firefighters were on scene that day and who was trapped inside the building. One of the most glaring problems is the firefighters had no idea they were walking into an unsafe vacant home that had been on fire not once but twice before. In response, the city revived a program to mark unsafe vacant homes with a large red X. Fire Chief Nels Ford resigned the same day that report was released. And that same month, the families of the fallen 3 firefighters sued the city. I spoke with those family members about their fight to make sure what happened to their loved ones never happens again.
I've always been scared, for her safety. And moving forward, things need to change. These homes should not be standing the way that they are.
I don't know if anything will help. We're never going to get her back, any of them. But it's going to save other families from having to deal with it later.
I relive these moments every single day. Every day. And it doesn't get any better.
I also spoke with the firefighter who was hurt but survived the Stricker Street fire, John McMaster.
And then you're left knowing that they weren't able to get everybody out. And you feel bad and you feel possibly guilty because they were all such great people. You always know they you lost 3 of your brothers and sisters in a preventable fire. And that makes me sad also. It makes me angry. But it makes me sad that it seems like nothing's being done about this.
The Stricker Street fire was the first time a Baltimore City firefighter died since November of 2014. Lieutenant James Bethia died after he fell through the floor of a vacant row home in East Baltimore. Before that, 1995, when firefighter Eric Schaefer was killed when a wall collapsed during an 8-alarm warehouse fire in Clipper Mill. And now a rare, tragic occurrence seems to have become more common, with firefighters losing their lives in the line of duty, both in January of 2022 and tonight in Northwest Baltimore.
And lots of people sending their thoughts and prayers on social media. Let's take a look. The Baltimore City FOP tweeting tonight, "Our prayers are with our brothers and sisters at the Baltimore City Fire Department." Lawrence Fearon saying our sincerest condolences and honor for the sacrifices made by our heroic firefighter. And Monica weighing in as well, saying for all EMS and firefighters from Harford County Fire and EMS sister and brother, prayers are going up tonight.
And again, one firefighter has died. He was killed in the line of duty while fighting a fire in Northwest Baltimore this afternoon. 2 other firefighters are now in critical condition. Fox 45 News will continue to follow the story throughout the night, bring you updates both on air and online. And stay tuned for Fox 45 Morning News for any overnight developments starting at 4:30 a.m. 3 months after a 16-year-old squeegee kid was convicted of manslaughter in the death of a Baltimore driver, we are getting a new glimpse into his case because of a song seemingly released from behind bars. The song is coming to light just as the teen is set to be sentenced this upcoming Monday.
Mackenzie Frost has the exclusive details in a story you're seeing first on Fox.
From her Facebook page, the mom of this teen calling on people to like and subscribe to her son's page. But it's the lyrics of one song specifically, appearing to talk about Tim Reynolds' death, that's raising questions and causing concern. Asia Gatson, the mom of the former squeegee kid convicted of voluntary manslaughter, taking to Facebook seeking support. In August, writing, "Check my son on YouTube and like and subscribe." The link? This song. Difficult to understand at first, but some of the lyrics seemingly talk about details of Timothy Reynolds' death. In July 2022, Reynolds crossing several lanes of traffic, confronting a group of squeegee kids at the Inner Harbor with a baseball bat. The squeegee kid seen on surveillance video running to a backpack, grabbing a gun, again appearing to be discussed in this song. During the trial, jurors agreed the kid in question acted with some level of self-defense, convicting the teen of voluntary manslaughter. Reynolds seen walking back to his car when he was shot multiple times. Gatson posting a link to another song, writing, "This son of mine."
If this is in fact attributable to him, I mean, he's a product of his environment.
Warren Brown, one of the squeegee kid's defense attorneys, says it isn't clear if the people on the track are in fact his client, but says he's not surprised with the content.
It's on par with most of the rap music these days. It talks about violence, talks about guns, glorifies violence that plagues our cities, demeans women. And so nothing surprising in any of that.
Brown questioning when the song was recorded, noting the apparent quality of the audio, especially since his client has been in custody for nearly a year.
It definitely does not sound like something that was done via a telephone.
But the dates the teen's mom posted the links coming after her son's conviction. We went to a known address for the teen's mom, but no one answered the door.
It's incredibly troubling and has left the family sick to their stomach.
Through Vignaraja, the attorney for the Reynolds family, argues the song, paired with the mom's public support, shows someone who is not remorseful.
You don't have to take the rap lyrics word for it. It's his mom that's saying and celebrating what her son is rapping about. This is not a person who's learned any lessons, who feels any remorse, who appreciates the pain that he's caused. It's really disturbing.
The case igniting the city's conversation again about squeegee kids. Mayor Brandon Scott launching the Squeegee Collaborative, later rolling out enforcement zones, stopping squeegeeing from certain city intersections, including the one where Reynolds was killed.
I don't understand how my son is in this situation.
Gadsden's previous interviews indicate her son was squeegeeing to raise money for his 15th birthday party. Now, questions remain about what length of sentence this teen will face. Again, the teen will be back in court Monday for sentencing, and Brown tells me the defense will once again try and get the sentencing placed in the juvenile justice system, noting that had his client been originally charged with manslaughter, this all would have taken place in the juvenile system. I also reached out to the state's attorney's office to see if they would comment on this new reporting, but they tell me because this is still a pending legal matter, they can't say anything. We're in the newsroom. Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
And this isn't the first time we've seen concerning video surface from a Department of Juvenile Services facility. A video released in September appeared to show an incarcerated teenager making a bold statement.
Hey, yo, he's scared to do what, though, yo?
Well, the teen allegedly said people are scared to apologize to him for snitching. DJS has not identified the teen or why he was arrested. Now, that video raising more questions about Baltimore's notorious stop snitching culture, particularly in connection to the Brooklyn Day shooting investigation. The social media account that posted the video uses the same hashtag as an account allegedly belonging to one of the teens arrested in the shooting. A police spokesperson says the hashtag could be a gang symbol. Now, Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates says the stop snitching mentality has been an issue in Baltimore for decades.
If we do not have witnesses and victims stepping up, we will not solve the crime. We will not hold an individual accountable. And if they're doing that in the adult system, do you not think they're going to do it in the juvenile system?
Because it's clear to us now that even when they are incarcerated, they still pose a public safety hazard on a community.
Well, next month, state lawmakers will hold a meeting to address juvenile crime with DJS Secretary Vincent Schiraldi in the hot seat. He's facing increasing questions about the state of the department and how successful its efforts are in rehabilitating young offenders.
Lawmakers will also discuss juvenile justice laws during that meeting, and we have heard from more than a dozen top prosecutors across Maryland saying the current laws leave their hands tied when it comes to holding young offenders accountable. Parents are sharing that frustration too, saying children often don't fear consequences for their actions.
But if we're just going to look at them and say, well, they're too young to know the wrong that they've done, that is not for Baltimore. That is not for Maryland, because kids in this city, in this state, are still committing crimes.
I don't understand how they can sit back and see this stuff happening and not immediately want to make changes or something.
If you want to contact your state lawmakers about public safety, House Speaker Adrian Jones and Senate President Bill Ferguson are two of the most powerful lawmakers in Annapolis. Their phone numbers and email addresses are on your screen. Tonight, a U.S. Navy warship in the Red Sea shot down 3 cruise missiles and several drones potentially destined for Israel just off the coast of Yemen. U.S. intelligence reports an errant jihadist rocket was responsible for the attack on a Gaza hospital, while Russia's Vladimir Putin continues to blame Israel. In his Oval Office address tonight, President Biden drew parallels between Hamas and Russia.
Hamas and Putin represent different threats, but they share this in common. They both want to completely annihilate a neighboring democracy.
Well, the president says democracy is at risk in both Israel and Ukraine if the U.S. doesn't act with urgency.
In this Northeast Baltimore,
Chief political correspondent Scott Thuman joins us live on Capitol Hill tonight.
And Scott, what stood out to you from the president's address earlier tonight?
Well, Maxine and Mary, you alluded to it a little bit there. It was a lot of that kind of global aspect, talking not just about Israel, but other nations around the country facing a threat. But it was a stern tone from the president tonight as he was trying to tell any other nation or terrorist organization that might want to further escalate this fight, causing even more chaos, that it needs to back down.
We're going to make sure other hostile actors in the region know that Israel is stronger than ever and prevent this conflict from spreading.
With thousands dead so far in this war, and now we know more than 30 Americans, as well as many missing, the U.S. finds itself in a difficult position. President Biden reiterating solid support for Israel, but also calls to protect innocent Palestinians.
Hamas does not represent the Palestinian people. Hamas uses Palestinian civilians as human shields, and innocent Palestinian families are suffering greatly because of that.
He asked Congress to provide tens of billions of dollars to Israel as part of a much larger $100 billion package that would also bolster Ukraine, Taiwan, and America's southern border. But many Republicans skeptical of Biden's goodwill efforts, including the $100 million he just pledged to help those in Gaza who are lacking fuel, food, and medicine.
Now we're supposed to believe that giving them $100 million, our money, our taxpayer money, that's not going to go to the terrorists? Giving it to the Palestinian leaders, it's not going to go to the terrorists? I mean, please, give me a break.
President Biden spent most of his speech trying to equate what's going on with the threat in Israel to what Ukraine is currently facing, and trying to make the point that it's imperative that the U.S. intervene, and if not, that democracies around the world face some risk. Mary and Maxine.
And Scott, the speech wasn't long. What do you think it accomplished tonight?
Well, I think it was a difficult one to deliver. It wasn't perhaps the best one that we've seen from the president, but on top of it, he was trying to compete with images, dramatic ones, that continue to come out of the Middle East, and to issue warnings to try and tamp down on Islamophobia or anti-Semitism. You don't know if that's going to have the same kind of impact as those images. So a challenge for the president, to be sure.
Right. Scott Thuman reporting for us in Washington, D.C. tonight. Thank you. And that brings us to our question of the day. Do you support the U.S. sending $100 million in humanitarian aid to Gaza? So far, 58% of the people who voted say no. You can still make your voice heard right now at foxbaltimore.com or by scanning the QR code on your screen.
We are tracking the next weather maker as it moves toward Maryland. Notice there's some rain off the coast and a batch of showers all the way from Columbus up to Worcester, Ohio, and Cleveland, almost into Pittsburgh, too. These systems come together overnight and give us a batch of cloud cover toward tomorrow morning's commute, so maybe not as much of a need for the sunglasses when you wake up. And temperatures won't be quite as cool, down into the 50s. And we'll deal with some extra clouds tomorrow, too. There could even be a shower all the way starting late tonight into the day tomorrow, but bigger rain chances arrive later tomorrow and could maybe even last into a portion of your weekend plans. I'm going to let you know when it's going to be worse. That's coming up in my future scan and my Weather Authority forecast in a couple of minutes.
Our team of meteorologists is tracking the incoming rain throughout the night. Wake up with meteorologist Justin Chambers tomorrow on Fox 45 Morning News starting at 4:30 a.m.
And coming up on Fox 45 News at 10, the search is intensifying for the suspect still wanted in the Morgan State University mass shooting. What we're learning about his criminal past that includes a federal investigation. Our investigation into Baltimore City's stolen car crisis revealing piles of dirt bikes and ATVs at the city's main impound lot. We give you an aerial view of the problem. And then right after the break, a new grocery store is coming to one of Baltimore's food deserts, but will it last? What needs to be done to keep it open in the face of skyrocketing retail theft? A new Lidl grocery store is going up in East Baltimore in the middle of a food desert in desperate need of reliable, nutritious options.
But as so many other grocery stores around the city have folded due to safety concerns, some are questioning the staying power of this location.
Fox 45's Jeff Abel joins us live with the very latest on this. Jeff.
You know, many of these supermarket chains have super thin profit margins, and lately far more have been closing than opening. But all eyes are on East Baltimore tonight, where that trend appears ready to change. In this Northeast Baltimore community, it takes a mile-long walk to find a market with fresh food.
Because there's nothing.
But all that is about to change. Here at Orleans and Central, the property where the Old Town Mall and housing projects once stood, will soon become home to Lidl Supermarket, a German-owned discount supermarket chain which will become the cornerstone of a 250-acre redevelopment project.
This indirectly impacts so many communities.
Senator Corey McCray, who helped secure funding for the project, believes new housing in the area convinced the chain to locate here.
That's several hundred new individuals to the city of Baltimore, which then creates the density necessary to be successful with securing something like this.
But like many supermarket chains, Lidl's has recently struggled. In July, it closed 11 stores, including this one in Brooklyn Park. Insiders say theft at this store was taking too great of a bite out of its bottom line.
It's to the point where some of the crime and aggression going on in some of these stores, they can't even get employees to come in because they don't feel safe.
The president of the Maryland Retailers Association says many supermarkets are at a breaking point. At the location where the newest Lidl's will be built, there are questions about survival in a tough economic time.
That's a lame excuse, because when we grew up in the 60s and 70s, the same daggone thing was happening then that is happening now.
There's no other grocery store in the area. They would mess that up, then they would be out of a business.
Our job is to make sure that we're micromanaging this as elected leaders, to make sure that if problems do exist, we're having those conversations with Lidl to make sure that they feel as though we're committed partners as the city of Baltimore.
The market isn't expected to be complete for another 2 years. In the meantime, the long-timers can see the light of a supermarket at the end of a very long tunnel.
Big business, you know, they want to know that there's going to be people around to use their services. And so clearly there are people around. The question will become, how will they be able to manage the environment?
That supermarket is expected to take about 1.5 years to build. It is expected to open toward the end of 2025. We're live tonight. Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.